Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at how Israel wants you to go fight its war. So Israel, as we know, is using the United States to fight its own war. There's no imminent threat from Iran onto the United States. Israel is dragging us into their conflicts. They want our young men and women to go and fight on their behalf in their war. So we're going to be taking a look at some tweets, and the first one that we got is this one right here. This was tweeted out by Max Blumenthal, and he was quote tweeting Turkish journalist, it seems like, Mr. Furkan. I'm not even going to take a shot at pronouncing his name. Before we dive into this, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure share your feedback, share your thoughts in the comments section. In the last video, the Gen Z one, it seems like a lot of you guys were relating to that. This is sort of a continuation of that in what's going on in the world right now. So we can see right here, Netanyahu casually admitting on live TV that he wants a ground invasion. There has to be a ground component against Iran. So let's go ahead and give this a watch and see what the devil in flesh has to say.
It is often said that you can't do revolutions from the air. That is true. You can't do it only from the air. You can do a lot of things from the air, and we're doing, but there has to be a ground component as well. There are many possibilities for this ground component, and
there's many possibilities of a ground component. Now, do you think that means that Israel's going to send ground troops into Iran? Israel's going to go ahead and wash up on the shores of Bandar Abbas? That they're going to go ahead and wash up on the shores of Harg Island? You think it's going to be them? Or do you think it's going to be Billy and Joe from a small town in Iowa or Indiana that's going to go ahead and wash up on those shores? Tell me, Netanyahu, what do you think is going to happen in a ground invasion? Are you going to send, people from Tel Aviv? Are you going to be sending people from Haifa? Or are you going to rely on Americans to go ahead and fight this war for you and have that ground component? Big shout out Max Blumenthal. I know maybe not everyone agrees with him. I'm sure there's things that I don't agree with Max Blumenthal on, but I think he's been doing an amazing job covering basically all the crimes that Israel has committed. Let's go ahead and jump right into the next one. On that note, you can see that Trump's administration, the Epstein regime, as it's being dubbed now on the Twitter sphere, is seeking an additional $200 billion to fund this war. Let's go ahead and see what the Mr. Fox News political talk head, Pete Hegseth, who somehow became Secretary of War, is going to be saying about this $200 billion. It's already $30 billion. I think I've heard estimates now is over $100 billion now, but they want to get $200 billion more. Let's see what Mr. Pete Hegseth wants to say.
$200 billion. I think that number could move, obviously. It takes...
and if it moves, it's going to move up, of course.
It takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future, ensure that our ammunition everything's refilled and not just...
Bro, our ammunition is done. Our ammunition, we gave it all away to Ukraine, right? What's so America first about that? Giving all your ammunition to Ukraine, giving all your ammunition over to Israel. Like, that's why we don't have any ammunition, right? Professor John says it very, very well, and a lot of other analysts have been saying it very, very well. The United States, our army is basically just a flex, right? There's no actual manufacturing that's being done. We're showing off to China and Russia right now that, hey, we don't have any military, like the military industrial complex that we have is really just a flex. Like, for us to be able to replenish is going to take a long, long time. And let's be honest again, Pete, who's going to be fighting this war? Who's going to be using that ammunition, right? Who is, and we're just going to be wasting it. We're going to be wasting it on $20,000 Iranian Shahed drones. That's what's going to happen. And Pete Hegseth, Netanyahu, Trump, they want you to go ahead and fight this war. Democrats and Republicans both want you to go fight this war.
Refilled, but above and beyond. I mean, President Trump, as he said, rebuilt the military in his first term. Didn't think he'd use it as dynamically in his second, but he had. So thank goodness he did that.
Yeah, and it's all
an investment like this is meant to say, hey, we'll replace anything that was spent. And now that we're reviving our defense industrial base and rebuilding the arsenal of freedom and cutting deals like our great deputy secretaries here is doing.
cutting deals, is any of that going into the pocket of the American people? Or is it going into the pockets of Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop, and all these other defense contractors like Palantir? What's that other one? And Anduril or something like that? It's going to them. It's not showing up in my bank account. It's not showing up in your bank account. And then, the counterpoint to that is, well, dude, just invest in those stocks. Just invest in those stocks. No, I'm not going to invest in those stocks. I don't want to invest into defense stocks that are going to go and kill Americans abroad, right? Are going to go and kill innocent civilians abroad, right? Like these deals, they're not benefiting the average American. The average American doesn't even have the money to be able to invest into these stocks, even if they wanted to.
Long lead times on exquisite munitions. We're going to be refilled faster than anyone imagined. And I think we're also still dealing with the environment that Joe Biden created, which
and then you always see them, they're always blaming things on Joe Biden, on Obama. And then one of those Democrat, con artists also come in. They're going to be blaming all of their progress that they can't make. Oh, Trump, oh, Bush. They just blame each other. People need to wake up and realize these politicians do not have your interests and their best needs. These politicians, left versus right. It's the left wing, it's the right wing. They're both wings on the same exact plane. And they're going the same direction wherever their master, Jeffrey Epstein, or whoever is the new Epstein is. He's telling them where to go. And they're using the culture wars. Oh, don't use this bathroom. Oh, all these different culture war aspects will never get codified into law because they want you to think that they can actually make a change, but they're not actually going to be. This is why Gen Z is so screwed. And then we're seeing Trump. I think Trump is starting to realize, we're screwed. Chat, we're screwed. That's what Trump is saying right now. Chat, we're screwed. We're getting very close to meeting our objectives as we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East with respects to the terrorist regime of Iran, completely degrading Iranian missile capabilities, launchers, and everything else pertaining to them. That's absolutely not true. Sure, they probably have gotten Iranian missile capability, and of course they've gotten rid of a lot of Iranian commanders and launch sites and whatnot, but Iran is still sending missiles into Israel and into the Gulf countries every single day. Like, as I'm recording this, I think they just sent over some Khorramshahr missiles over to Iran. So I don't know what completely degrading capacity even means. Same thing with the second point, destroying Iran's industrial defense base, eliminating their Navy and Air Force, including anti-aircraft weaponry. Again, that was proven wrong because 2 F-35 jets were actually hit. Never allowing Iran to get even close to nuclear capability, and always being in a position where the USA can quickly and powerfully react to such a situation should it take place. Again, we don't know if this is actually true or not. Protecting at the highest level our Middle Eastern allies, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, and others. The Hormuz Strait will have to be guarded and policed as necessary by other nations who use it. The United States does not. So this is where he's trying to get his off-ramp, right? He's like, hey, we gave it our best shot. Sorry that, the Palm Jumeirah in Dubai got hit. Sorry that all these bases, Bahrain was basically on fire, probably still is on fire. We did our best. And Israel, you know what, man? Like, you guys are taking a lot out of us, right? So we're just going to hand it over to you. We're just going to go ahead and hand it over to you. And I think that's a part of the plan. That is a part of the plan. I've seen a lot of political commentators, Professor Zhang, I've even seen Fuentes talk about this. The power shift in the Middle East is going to be transferred from the United States over to Israel and Saudi Arabia. That is what the plan is for this. The United States does not, if asked, we will help these countries in their Hormuz efforts, but it shouldn't be necessary once Iran's threat is eradicated. It's not eradicated. The people are in the streets every single day supporting their government. They do not want to be bombed. People do not understand. People do not realize. Even people who are against the government in Iran, they're very, very, very proud of their Persian heritage, and they do not like the fact that the U.S. and Israel are bombing their UNESCO heritage sites, like the Golestan Palace. I think Azadi Square in Tehran was also bombed. They do not want to see this. So they're all rallying around the flag. They're seeing their leaders being martyred and revering them. Importantly, it will be an easy military operation for them. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So it really looks like Trump is trying to get an off-ramp, hand this over to Israel, and, you know, basically help commence the Greater Israel Project. So it looks like he's trying to get that off-ramp, but Netanyahu wants troops on the ground, and we know that he doesn't want his own troops on the ground. He wants Billy and Joe from Middle America to go ahead and fight this war and die for him. So anyone that goes and thinks that they're defending America by getting their, getting their boots on the ground in Iran, you're not defending America at all. Joe Kent has stated multiple time and time again, right? He was basically Trump's director of national terrorism. Like, I'm blanking out, right? But everyone's seen the Joe Kent interviews. Tucker Carlson, he just had one with that one guy Sagar, where he basically admitted he was like the director of national counterterrorism, right? He confirmed that there is no imminent threat from Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat. There was that one guy, a bus merchant, right, who said that he was sent over by the Iranians. But Joe Kent even said that was like a half-assed job. That was a half-assed job. There was no imminent threat from Iran. They were monitoring it very, very, very closely. He said that there was no imminent threat from Iran. They also tried to pose the Trump assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the Charlie Kirk assassination attempt on Iran. But Joe Kent admitted that when he wanted to investigate that, he wasn't allowed to. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel stopped him. So let's go ahead and take a look. This was his interview on Tucker Carlson. And this is Dan Bongino. Dan the Fraud Bongino reacting to it. So we're reacting to Dan reacting to what Joe Kent is saying here. So let's go ahead and give this a watch.
If an attempted murder of a presidential candidate,
and then there's another assassination attempt. There's been multiple public breaches of President Trump's security over the last year.
Yeah, correct.
And then, Charlie Kirk is killed publicly in a very horrific way, and we're not really even allowed to look into that at all.
Okay.
Or Dan goes into his Yap session. Listen to what he just said. The FBI did not let them investigate Charlie Kirk's death. The FBI did not allow them to investigate Donald Trump's assassination attempt. Let's hear Dan Bongino's rant now.
Okay, listen, folks. This part I have to just leave here. This is some of the most disgusting, unethical, and immoral stuff I have ever seen. Leveraging the death of my good friend, his brutal murder.
So he's not denying it yet. We'll see what he has to say, but he's using an emotional element here to try to swoon over his viewers. But everyone knows that Dan Bongino is God, so.
His assassination that the whole world watched in all of its horrifying gore. For your podcast appearance, you're disgusting. Thank you for your service to the country. You're also disgusting.
So are you going to address the point, Dan, or are you what?
This is filth. This is just filth. I wasn't allowed to ask questions, Joe Kent. I'm just going to leave that there, folks. And all you people defending him right now, I'll accept your apology later. You watch. You weren't allowed to ask questions? You sure about that? Sure you want that on the record, Joe? You weren't allowed to ask questions? Really? Go ahead.
Really even allowed to look into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors, and he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office.
He did? That's fascinating, because I've had conversations with Charlie, too. I don't talk about them because the man's dead, and I don't like to invoke his name for podcast clicks. So
I would debate that, Dan. I would debate that. You've got a show. You're definitely trying to get as many podcast clicks or, show clicks as you possibly can. Everyone knows that Charlie was against the invasion of Iran. Everyone knows about that infamous poll that Charlie had posted on whether or not people supported a U.S. intervention in Iran, right? Everyone knows that Charlie was against it, right? So I don't know what Dan is saying, and it's very clear. Like, Dan's trying to make it very vague. Like, dude, I definitely did allow you to ask. But bro, we know that you're a liar. You said that there was nothing in the Epstein files. I remember you and Kash Patel were going on a whole tour before you guys got your positions that, oh, we're gonna make the FBI so transparent. We might even allow live streams of like, FBI meetings and all that kind of stuff. Did we get any of that? Did Kash Patel or Dan Bongino give us any of that? No. The answer is no.
Okay, only to remember him. And I'm not going to do it now. You sure that's how Charlie felt? Matter of fact, I've got a clip of Charlie. We're going to play.
Okay, so maybe he did have a clip where Charlie did express some sort of interest, but everyone knows that, like, again, based off of the polling, based off of like multiple accounts, right? Charlie Kirk did not support an intervention and a war with Iran. So, Dan Bongino can go ahead and do all of his yapping. Everyone knows that MAGA was losing the media war very, very heavily because, again, the Epstein files were just like so poorly taken care of by the FBI in the beginning and the DOJ, right? Everyone said one thing before that they got sworn in. Then in the beginning they were saying something along the same lines, and then what was it, July of last year, everyone just backtracks. So that gave the MAGA administration, the Epstein regime, a very, very bad look. So they basically wanted to send Dan Bongino back out into the field and like, yo, do your thing. Counter all of these guys. Counter, Tucker Carlson. Counter Candace Owens. Counter Nick Fuentes. Counter Sneeko and all these other streamers and podcasters and whatnot. They sent Dan Bongino back out into the field so that he could, quote unquote, counter, all of these talking points. But the only people that he's pondering to are baby boomers who aren't going to be enlisted to go and have their boots on the ground in Iran. Nope. So he's trying to ponder to them, the people with the money, the people who are owning homes, but he's not catching the attention from anyone in Gen Z or younger millennials at all. So on all of this, we can see that investors are now betting that the overall U.S. inflation over the next 12 months will surge above 5%. We all know that inflation is way more than that. The government always fudges the numbers when it comes to inflation. But what this is going to mean, as we all know, is everything's going to become more expensive. Gas stations around where I live are like over $5. You're lucky to find anything below $4. In Texas, they're inching closer and closer to $4 a gallon. And if you live in Texas, I lived in Texas back during COVID, and you have to drive a lot to go anywhere, whether you're in Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. Like you're driving a ton, right? So gas may be cheaper, but you're filling up your tank way more often. So gas is going to go up. Your groceries are going to go up. Luckily, here in the U.S., we're fortunate to have a lot of our food grown here, right? But imagine you're in the Gulf countries. Strait of Hormuz is closed off, right? It's going to be a lot harder for you to be able to get food. And, everyone's saying, oh, well, now the Red Sea's back open. No, the Houthis said that they're going to join back in this war. So the two bodies of water that are close to the Gulf countries basically are going to be shut off until, there is an eventual end to this conflict, to this war. And then lastly, we saw this today from the IDF. What you see here is the result of Iranian missile fire. So this is in Jerusalem. You can see this is the Dome of the Rock, right? The temple for the Jewish faith. The old city in Jerusalem, right near the Temple Mount, was impacted by Iranian missile fragments. The Iranian regime once again proves they fire indiscriminately, whether at civilian areas or holy sites, all with the intention of destroying the state of Israel's. Right, and we can see some funny tweets here from Sneeko. We can see some people, posting some videos from Rabbi Mizrahi regarding this, right? And this is coming from the same IDF that indiscriminately bombs and destroys mosques, churches, hospitals in southern Lebanon, in Gaza, in Iran, in Iraq, like all over. So, I mean, everyone can kind of see through their game. Everyone can see through their game. So, guys, please, for the love of God, if you're thinking about enlisting in the military right now, like, don't. Or if you are in the military, like, say, hey, I don't want to go die for Israel. I want to go defend this country. We want an America first military. We want an America first government, guys. That is what we want. But I will hopefully keep you guys updated on any more breaking news. I'm really enjoying this type of content that I'm making, social commentary, politics, economics, and whatnot. I'm still going to be making my funny videos. So if you go over to my shorts or you go over to my TikTok and my Instagram, I post all the comedy stuff there, but I really want to make my more long form content, more serious, more on things that I'm interested in, of course I love the comedy stuff as well, but I also do love to make videos talking about politics, economics, social commentary, all that sort of stuff. So if you guys really enjoy this, please, again, give it a like, comment, subscribe, share it with some friends. If you want to catch me live, I do go live every single day on TikTok, so you can follow me on TikTok. I'm going to start hopefully streaming here on YouTube as well. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next. Peace.